said, "If you'll get this going, I'll work on his IV, and we need to repeat his blood pressure." I stepped to the other side of the stretcher and began asking Mr. Shays about his chest pain. Glancing over at the counter behind him, I noticed his short-sleeved shirt, tossed there by Laurie. An open pack of Marlboros had partly slipped out of the breast pocket. "I was fine when I got up this morning, Doctor," he was telling me. "Getting ready to go to work, when all of a sudden my chest started hurting. Never had anything like it in my life. It was terrible. Sharp pain, like I was tearing apart right here," he said, pointing to his breastbone. "After a couple of minutes, it seemed to ease off, but I felt weak, and I knew I needed to go to the hospital." Laurie was behind me, getting a bag of normal saline from one of the shelves on the wall. I heard the sound of glass hitting the counter and jerked my head around. 2 glass vials had fallen, apparently as she'd been sliding the bag toward her. She picked up one, which was cracked open and empty. The other one was empty as well. She held up the first one to the light and studied the label. I noticed a puzzled look on her face and asked, "What is it?" "It's Vistaril," she answered, "but I don't know what it's doing up here. Why would—" 70/50, Jeff called out with an edge in his voice. I turned back to the stretcher and said to Laurie, "Let's get that line going." She tossed the vials into a nearby trash can, grabbed her IV supplies, and quickly turned to Mr. Shays. "I'm right here." One of our techs hurried into the room, pushing our EKG machine. "Can I get in there and get this done?" she asked, looking over at Jeff. "Yeah," he answered, checking the patient's BP again. He inflated the cuff and slowly released it, listening carefully. "Still 70/50. "Are you having any pain now?" I asked Ernest. "No pain, Doctor. I just feel weak and a little lightheaded." "Do you want this wide open?" Laurie asked me, having started the IV and now adjusting the flow rate. "And my legs are getting numb," Shays added, looking up at me. I looked over at the monitor. His heart rate was in the 80s and regular. Then I glanced down at the EKG that was printing and just starting to be spit out of the machine. It looked normal, with no evidence of any acute injury. "I can barely feel them," Ernest said again, rubbing the tops of his thighs. He was remaining calm, which was more than I could say about myself. He was in trouble, and I was beginning to fear the worst. "We need a portable chest X-ray stat," I directed Jeff, looking over at him and seeing his worried brow furrowed. He was feeling for a femoral pulse and nodded his head. "Faint, but I can feel it," he told me. "And I'll get Amy on that X-ray," he added, stepping toward the doorway. "Wide open on those fluids," I told Laurie. "And we need to get lab in here, now. The routine stuff, but we're going to need to type and cross for some blood, too." She glanced at me, a question in her eyes. "Is it my heart, Dr. Lesslie?" Ernest asked me. "Am I going to die?" I stopped what I was doing and looked down into Mr. Shays' eyes. He was afraid, and I needed to be honest with him. If I was right, it wasn't his heart, but he was in real trouble. "Ernest," I began, but was interrupted by the appearance of the portable X-ray machine in the doorway. The radiology tech was deftly guiding the cumbersome, motorized equipment to the edge of the stretcher. "Ready for this?" she asked, already beginning to swing the arm and tube over Mr. Shays' chest. "Yeah," I answered, stepping back out of her way. "We need that as fast as you can." The chest X-ray would probably give me my diagnosis, and I still needed to answer Ernest's question, but that would have to wait. "I'm going to step out into the hallway," I told him, patting his arm. "When she's finished, I'll be back in." As I opened the door to leave, I was met by Amy Connors. "Mr. Shays' wife and son just got here," she told me. "They're out in the waiting room and want to know if they can come back." I closed the door behind me and we stepped into the triage hallway. "Let them know we're getting a few things done, but they can come back in a couple of minutes," I said. "Give me a chance to look at that X-ray, and then I can let them know more about what's going on." A few minutes later, standing in front of the view box, I had my answer. Ernest Shays' chest X-ray was clearly abnormal, with a markedly widened mediastinum. This was the central part of his chest, which contained his heart, but also his major blood vessel, the aorta.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.